to everybody, and welcome to the lecture, How to Make the Right Choices. Welcome also online. So if we want to know how to make the right choices, we obviously ask the question, what is right and what is wrong? Right? So my question to you, before we even go deeper into it, is something being right or wrong a subjective idea? Like, is it applicable only to your individual choice? You decide what is right or wrong? Or is right and wrong something which is objective, which is basically the same for everybody, applicable to everyone in the same way? What do you think? Is right and wrong something which is just subjective, or is it something which is objective? Who thinks it's subjective? Lift your hand. Okay. Who thinks it is objective? And who thinks it's both? So, that something, if something right and wrong being subjective, I think it's self-explanatory, no? Like, you make a choice, you choose something which is right or wrong for your own good. That is self-explanatory. Those who have said that it's objective, what is objectively right or wrong? To choose love is always the best. Says who? What is written in the scriptures, in the Shastras? So it's subjective. So you are on camp number one. Mataji? How you feel and that you don't harm yourself or others. That is how you see right and wrong, and you would say that's an objective right and wrong. Okay. First he, then Gopala Vallabhas. According to Dharma. Okay, the law of Dharma.
Trying to step out of the personhood and observe in a neutral way, and according to what has always been the way of the Dharma.
So again,
What is gratitude and what is not gratitude has been historical.
Okay, so
observing in a neutral way means stepping out of our projections, basically.
Stepping out of your own projection, of your own egoism. Dharma was now mentioned a few times. A few people have mentioned Dharma, yeah? Like the Hindu faith is Sanatana Dharma, the eternal law, the eternal ways of living. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's like multiple things in order of priorities. Like Guru, the master, then there's the Shastras, then there is also your own conviction factors into play, and then you just decide according to the situation.
So the Guru, the scriptures, the tradition, exemplary people, and then your own conviction. Well, that is how the Padma Purana describes the sources of Dharma, right? How you can get Dharma. But my question is still, if you have an objective good and right, or good and wrong, why would you say it's right and wrong? Like some say, because it's Dharma. It's an eternal law. It has always existed, and that is the objective right. And if you don't follow, if you're adharmic, that is wrong. That's just objective, fitting for every human being, right? That is what some of you have said. What leads you to God is right, what doesn't lead you to God is wrong.
I think about my personal decisions in daily life, and then it is something that I connect to God's will, and this is connected to my intuition. And I mean, I cannot, for many things, it's not written in the Shastras what is right or wrong.
So it's subjective again. You said your personal observation of yourself, you listen to, you try to connect with God's will, listen to your intuition, and then that is maybe not written in the scriptures, like you don't find it written in the scriptures, so it is your subjective again. So you see, I'm asking the question, you think about the question, it's not such a simple way to answer this question. What is right and what is wrong? Is it subjective or is it objective? So I would also say it is both. What does a goal depend on? What is the main thing? What does a goal depend on? What does your choice in life depend on? On what are you basing your choices, your decisions, when you make daily choices? Huh? Past knowledge, okay. Huh? Intuition, okay. Desires, senses, heart desires. Well, my question was, how do you make choices? On what do you base your choices? What are they based on? I heard it somewhere, but nobody said it clearly. To be happy? To be happy, what does that mean? Huh? The goal. I would say, I would agree with Dayakari. I would agree with Mahita Das, you said before, that which is helpful for that goal, that is right. That which is not helpful for that goal is wrong. So, what does a choice depend on? The choice depends on your goal. What do you want in life? What do you want in life that makes your choices right or wrong? If you want to be rich and famous, or just rich, and you do not care about ethics at all, to steal all your wallets while you're sitting here quietly in the back, getting all your belongings and not being caught is a very good thing. That person will go home and say, I made a lot of good money today and I was not caught. Very good. You tell that to somebody who is following this path, who says like, whoa, what do you mean? You stole money from other people? That is wrong. Yeah, but I wasn't caught. So it is good. You see, it is subjectively, if you don't care about a certain goal, you want to be righteous, then it is good. But if you care about ethics, then it is bad. So the question only stays, what is your goal? And that is the main question which we all have to ask. What is your goal in life? What do you want? Guruji says in the commentary of the Bhagavad Gita, know where you stand and what your goal is. This is very important. If being in this world, you don't know the goal that you want to reach, it is impossible that you will be happy. If you don't know what you want, you will never be satisfied and happy. Never, ever. And it sounds so basic, but I know tons of people who do not know what they want. In my last travels with Guruji in India, you know the Indians, they see a sadhu, they see Guruji, they approach him, they talk with him. And after he listens to them for some time, I saw him looking at them and like, what do you want? Like the wishful feeling, cow, like Kamadenu or the Kalpavriksha, like the guru stands there, what do you want? And the person's like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And tells you another whole story instead of just, I want this. Clear. What is my goal is a very clear thing. The more clear it is, the more clear you will choose what is right and what is wrong. So, if the goal determines our choice of right and wrong, we have now to see if or what is the goal in life. And again, the same question starts, is having a goal in life something subjective, which everybody has their own ones, or is it something objective, which is applicable to everybody? What do you think? Is the goal of life subjective? What do you want in life? Is that subjective or objective? Who believes it is subjective? Lift your hand. Getting more and more less. Who thinks it is objective? And who thinks it is both? Both. So, again, a subjective goal is quite clear. You want to become a CEO of a company. You want to buy a new house on the beach. You want to be rich. You want to have all kinds of things. You want a family. You want children. You want whatever. Everybody has a subjective goal of life. Those who have said, which is almost everybody here, there's an objective goal in life. What is it? What do you say is objective goal of life? God realization. God realization. It's like, huh? The Srimad Bhagavatam says Bhakti is the dharma of all living beings. So, what are the 4 purusharthas, the 4 main goals Hindu tradition proposes? The goals of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So, what do they mean? Dharma means righteousness. Understanding about righteousness and living a righteous life. Artha, wealth, prosperity. So it is a goal of life to seek prosperity for a common human being, no? Like, don't be too ultra spiritual here. Like, don't say that you are not interested in some wealth and well-being. I don't know anybody who lives here like in the absolute minimum in a cave or in a hut. No? Your karma, what is karma? Pleasures. Are you seeking pleasures? Are you seeking to fulfill your desires? Have you stopped by the Bhajan Cafe today? Hypocrisy is revealed in 1 second, yeah? You stood by the Bhajan Cafe for your cake or your cookie or your chai, you know, that was not essential. That was pleasure-driven. Yeah? Karma. And then finally, moksha. Moksha being liberation from what? Liberation from samsara, from this eternal cycle of birth and death, birth and death. Liberation, freedom from karma, no? Because that is how you break free from this cycle of birth and death. And then, like you say, the Vaishnavas say actually, no. This is not the goal of life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, this is not the goal of life. Kulashekara Alvarinus Mukunda Malas Totem says, no, this is not the goal of life. I do not seek wealth. I do not seek pleasures. I do not even seek moksha. I don't want liberation. All I want is what? Love and serve God over and over and over again. That is because that is the highest goal. That includes everything. Moksha will be automatic when you strive for selfless, pure, loving service towards God. So bhakti is the highest purpose, is the objective goal which everybody has. Guruji says in his commentary in the Bhagavad Gita, you have come to fulfill your divine purpose. When you're in tune with your true self, you realize your purpose in life. So life is an evolution, is a constant growing in love. And well, you all agree on that, or most of you here, but let's go down to the village and ask some of the neighborhood there. Is that the purpose of them? Would they agree that that is the utmost purpose of life? Do you think so? No, I don't think so. They will probably agree with karma and artha. Definitely. Wealth and pleasures, the whole world will agree on. It doesn't have to be dharmic. Wealth and pleasure not related to dharma. No, it's just wealth and pleasures. That is what we want. But it is interesting to see when you ask actually somebody, what do you want? They will tell you something what they want. Like, I often tell the story from my friend who has a big company and he works very hard. So I ask him, why do you work so hard? And he says, because I want my company to grow. I say, why do you want your company to grow? Well, because I want to earn a lot of money. Why do you want to earn money? And he says, because if I earn money, then I can buy the things of this world. What are the things of this world which you want to buy? And he gives me a whole list. So after he gives me the list, I told him, so basically all you want to buy is things which you can see, what you can smell, what you can taste, what you can hear, and what you can touch, isn't it? So basically your sense organs want the sense objects. And he looked at me and was like, that doesn't sound as exciting, but somehow, yes, yeah? So my sense organs want the sense objects. Your sense organs want the sense object. Your sense organs of taste want the sense object of cake when you stand in the bhajan cafe. Isn't it? So I asked him, why do your sense organs want sense objects? Why do your sense organs want the sense objects? Through food, through drink, through sex, through touch, through whatever. Why? Huh? Fulfill a gap, mind. Give me a basic, clear answer. What does it do with you? It gives you pleasure, man. It gives you pleasure. It makes you happy. Yeah? It's not so complicated. It's a very, very experiential, normal thing. You have sense pleasures. You are happy. It's not lasting happiness. You know that. We know that. But still, you can buy a second cake, isn't it? So you will go for a second pleasure. So when I asked him, so you want the pleasures. Why you want the pleasures? He said, because it makes me happy. Anybody of you wants to be happy here? Lift your hand if you want to be happy. At home, lift your hand if you want to be happy. You see, that's the beauty of it, because you can ask anybody in this world, old or young, white, black, yellow, child, North Pole, South Pole, wherever you go, you ask anybody, you want to be happy? They will say yes. You know anybody who wants consciously to be unhappy? Consciously. Like there's many people who make themselves unhappy. We make ourselves unhappy, but it's not a conscious decision, isn't it? So we all want to be happy. So question to you, why do you want to be happy?
Because it's a resonance with our true nature, which is Satchitananda.
Exactly.
Unconsciously looking for this Ananda.
Because it is a resonance of who we truly are, Sat Chit Ananda. Conscious existence of bliss, everlasting bliss, that is what we are. We are a amsha part, a partial, a part of God, which is this eternal bliss. And that bliss wants to be lived. So we keep on striving to experience that bliss. How we attain this happiness and bliss? Probably as many people in this world, there are so many options or ideas are how I attain the happiness. Like I said, somebody thinks if I get a new house on the beach, a new car, a proper partner, children, if I can do some service, everybody has a different idea how I'm gonna be happy. But everybody wants to be happy. That is one factor which stands fixed. And that happiness comes because we are that happiness. We are not happiness, bliss. We are that. And that is almost, to some extent, a proof that there is a spiritual being, because we are so different. I don't know, most of you, still we have that in common. And I'm no clairvoyant person, I can say that about you. You want to be happy. We all want to be happy. That is a goal what we seek. Now the question is, where do we find this goal? And that is what I mean, like when you go to the village and you speak to somebody or anywhere in the world, everybody will agree on that point, they want to be happy. If you go in nature, you see a tree which has fallen down, broken by a storm. That tree is little connected still to the roots. What will it do? It will push out another branch, and where will that branch go? Upwards. Why will it go upwards? To the sun. I visited lately a friend in Italy, had some flowers underneath on the balcony, and the roof was over. And the flowers did all like this. They made a big arch. Why? Why? Because they reach for the light. Life is seeking the light. Life is striving for the light, for the source. This life, what is in here, is reaching for the light, for the love, for the ultimate. So there is an objective goal. The objective goal is to grow in love, to grow in realizing who you truly are and your eternal relationship with God. And once you know who you are, this Atma is the eternal servant of God, loving servant. And you can see the Bhagavad Gita over and over again, where Krishna describes one goal, a highest goal. Yeah, there's many goals. You can seek so many different goals, but there is one ultimate goal. And that is what the devotee actually strives for. In chapter 6, he says, sitting in meditation, he should hold me to be the goal of life. Yeah, the yogi should sit in meditation, keep me as the goal of life. Keep God as the goal of life. In chapter 9, he says, I am the goal. Krishna, I am the goal. Chapter 18, he says, mentally dedicating all actions to me, thinking of me as the supreme goal. And engaged in yoga, focus your mind on me. Keep me in mind. Focus on me. Have clear what is your goal. If your goal is clear, then your choices will become clear. That is the simplicity of the life of a devotee. 3 points. First point, know who you are. Who am I? I am this body, or am I an Atman, a part of God? So I remind myself, I am this Atman. Secondly, what is my goal? What is ultimately my goal? It is to reach Him. There's many small goals in between, but they are all helping me to get closer to that. Everything. Your job is only for that purpose. Your family is only for that purpose. Your circumstances are only for that purpose. Your problems are only for that purpose. Your joys are only for that purpose. Your whole existence is only for that one purpose. That you grow in that eternal relationship with Him, to realize who you truly are and your eternal relationship with Him. So once you know your goal, then the third point comes in, where it's like, what is helpful to get closer to my goal, and what is not helpful to my goal? Which thoughts are helpful to get closer to my goal? Which actions are helpful to get to my goal? Which words are helpful to get my goal? Which association is helpful to get to my goal? Right? And then you start to make choices, and then you will make the right choices. You will understand what is right and what is wrong. But the goal must be clear. Number one must be God. To attain Him. He is number one, that fixed point. If you have Him as the first goal, seek first the kingdom of God, everything else will be given to you, right? The Bible says. Mam ekam sharanam vraja, Krishna says in the Gita, in the Charma Shloka, make me your only refuge place. They all say the same thing. God must be number one. If you have Him as number one, then everything you add will add value. You have Him as your highest goal. The moment you have a nice partner, you add a 0. 1 and 0 becomes 10. You get children, 100. You have a nice house, 1,000. You have a nice car, 10,000. You have no problems in life, 100,000. Everything what you get in your life just adds up to this one, isn't it? If you remove that number one, if you remove that number one in front, you can have infinite zeros. Infinite times 0 still stays 0. It has no value, neither in this world nor in the next. Krishna says in the Gita, that is called asat, untruth, unright. It has no value, not in this world, nor in the next world. Keep clear, what is your goal? Keep that number one straight there. Guru and God must be there. Where do I go? What is my purpose? Why am I here? So, what is the main instrument to make the right choices? It is, like Krishna says in this verse, the intellect. So he says in chapter 2, verse 39, this knowledge which has been taught to you so far is based on Sankhya. Now listen, O Parth, as I reveal Buddhi Yoga, or the yoga of intellect. When you act with this knowledge, O Arjun, you will be free from the bonds of action. You will be free from karma. So yes, in some translations it is not written Buddhi Yoga, it's said Karma Yoga, because for Karma Yoga you need Buddhi, you need the intellect, you need to discriminate. But as you can see in the Sanskrit, it says Buddhi Yoga, yeah? The yoga of the intellect. So before that, Krishna has given the intellect. So before that, Krishna has given the Sankhya. What is Sankhya? What does Sankhya mean? Huh? Huh? It's a philosophy? Duality? Purusha and Prakriti. What does the word Sankhya mean? Huh? Sankhya, one of the meanings of Sankhya is analysis or enumeration or counting, but the analysis. Analysis of what is spiritual reality, Purusha, and what is material reality, Prakriti. So in chapter 2, before he goes deeper into the teachings of the Gita, Krishna describes these 2 points. Yeah, Arjuna is distressed. He doesn't know the right choice to make. He is in the battlefield. He wants to give up. He doesn't want to fight his battle. Like so often we don't want to fight our battle. He's weak. He gives up. He doesn't want to fight. So the first thing he gives him is Sankhya Yoga. The first thing he tells him, you are not this body. You are the eternal Atman. Never born, never dying. Right? This is the basic, that's why I said in these 3 points for a simple life, the first one is know who you are. Remind yourself who you are, because if you don't have that in mind, there is no solution. There is no solution. This body comes and goes. Everything in this world comes and goes. The only eternal reality is the spiritual reality. So after he gives him this knowledge about material reality, Prakriti, and spiritual reality, Purusha, he now says, and now I will reveal to you Buddhi Yoga, the yoga of the intellect. And if you act with Buddhi Yoga, with the yoga of intellect, you will be free from karma. You will be free from the bonds of karma. And that's why he starts to teach him about karma yoga and all the other things. But to have the intellect right, so you all get what intellect means, right? Intellect is a discrimination. To have the right discrimination. And that is what you need. You need the right discrimination to make the right choices. Because the lecture today is, how do I make the right choices? So I need the intellect to have right. What is needed to have a proper intellect? To have the proper intellect, you need first to have the right knowledge. The right knowledge, the intellect needs to be filled with the right knowledge to function properly. The intellect in itself is an instrument which can do the right choices or the wrong choices. But like he says, like what is one of the greatest obstacles on the spiritual path? What is covering yourself so that you can't see who you truly are? What is the main point? Huh? Like the fire evolved by smoke, like the mirror covered by dust, like the embryo covered by the amnion, so this world is covered by desires. Desires, bhajan cafe, yeah, pleasures, senses, yeah. Desires are that which cover us. And then he says, but higher than the senses is what? The mind is higher than the senses. And higher than the mind is what? The intellect. And still higher than that, beyond that, is the self. So that means that if you have the intellect proper, you can control your mind and your senses. And if you control your mind and your senses, then you can make the right choices. Then you can avoid things which are not good for you because your senses just want the pleasures, or your mind is running after some weird stuff. No, you can control the senses to not have an overdose of chocolate or sugar, or, yeah, I'm just using that example. You can imagine how many other examples you can find. If you have the mind under the control, you can choose to not let the mind run to all nonsense things, but to focus your mind on the lotus feet of the Master and Krishna. Focus the mind on Krishna. That is a choice you make. How you make that choice? Because you have the right intellect. Because your intellect is sharpened. Your intellect is sharpened by the right knowledge. And Krishna describes very clearly what knowledge is in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 13, verse 8 till 12, he describes beautiful what knowledge is. Among those things, he says, the constant striving for self-realization, self-restraint, service to the master, love for God. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Dosha, Nudarshanam, the complete awareness that this world is a constant cycle of birth, death, old age, and infirmities, illnesses. It is a cycle of suffering. This world is covered by suffering. All of those things, and he mentioned some more. He concludes in those verses, that is knowledge. Everything else is ignorance. So he's basically saying, you can be doctor, professor, magister 4 times, 5 times. If you don't have love for God, if you don't strive for the truth, to realize who you truly are, if you don't serve the master, if you don't live purity, self-restraint, the dharmic principles, ahimsa, etc., etc., if you don't follow those principles, you are ignorant. It doesn't matter how high your IQ is. If you have this knowledge, then your intellect is going to work properly. Because again, he will describe it more deep, how the choices, the knowledge functions, because he speaks about sattvic knowledge, rajasic knowledge, tamasic knowledge. Yes, and knowledge is not just knowledge. Again, very detailed description. Knowledge is not always knowledge. But if you have the right knowledge, for example, the example of controlling your senses, so let's say yesterday you fasted. Yeah, yesterday you fast the whole day, maybe the whole week you fast for Krishna Janmashtami. And now the festivities go on, beautiful prasad is being offered, and you can't wait till finally the celebration is over and you can break your fast with the prasad. Your senses are longing for this beautiful prasad. Your mind just wants the sugar rush. You can't, it's just, you get it? You're there? Yeah? So now somebody comes along and gives you a nice laddu. And you're like, yeah, you're about to bite in, and then the person tells you, just to let you know, this laddu is poisoned. And you know that person is not cheating you. That person tells the truth. That laddu is poisoned. Will you eat that laddu? Huh? It's prasad. What devotees. Wow. Well, probably you will not eat it, right? Or let's say it's stale, it has like some fungus on it, and it has already become green. This is a laddu from 5 years ago, Krishna Janmashtami. We just found it behind the cupboard. I will look for one for you. It's prasad. Yeah? So, will you eat it? No. Does it mean that your senses don't want anymore to eat? That you don't want the pleasure of taste? You still want the pleasure of taste. Does it mean your mind doesn't want the sugar rush anymore? Your mind still wants the sugar rush, isn't it? But your intellect has knowledge. This is not good for me. If you eat that, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna either have diarrhea, get sick, or die, or whatever. And therefore you decide, no, I'm gonna restrain my mind. I'm gonna restrain my senses. Wow, you have a tool which is more powerful than those two. But you need the right knowledge to apply this intellect. So if you apply this on your daily choices for the highest goal of serving and loving God, getting closer to Him, you have to have the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. You have to have the knowledge of what the Master tells us, what Krishna tells us. What is knowledge? What is Dharma? what is right and what is wrong. And then you start to make your choices. When you have the right knowledge, you can make good choices. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes in detail what knowledge is. Like I said, in chapter 13 and in other places, he describes what is dharmic, what is knowledge, what will help you to develop your deva qualities, your divine qualities. Yeah? The Devasura Sampat, chapter 16. What will develop your more asuric, your demonic qualities, which are also present there. So the Bhagavad Gita altogether describes how we can make the right choices. By giving us firstly a clarity of what the goal of life is. Once you know who you are, that you're not this body, that you're not a sense pleasures driven animal. No, you have a choice. That's the beauty of human incarnation. You have a choice. The animal doesn't have the choice you have. When the geese, when winter comes, they will fly to south. It's a natural impulse. They will not stand there and think like, oh, maybe this year we fly west, or maybe we stay a little bit longer. No, when winter comes, they will automatically fly. It is no choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to go left or go right. You have a choice to see positively or negatively. You have the choice to see the blessings or the curses. You have the choice to see the goodness in your life or the not goodness in your life. That is a choice. You have a choice to seek material pleasures and material fulfillment as the number one, or to make Krishna, God, as your number one. That is a choice you can make. And once you know who you are, you know what you want, then the third point is you choose according to what is helpful for your goal. Will gossip about my brothers and sisters be helpful to attainment of my spiritual goal? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, keep on gossiping. If no, do your best to stop gossiping. Is judging myself and others helpful for my spiritual goal to attain my true relationship with God? Yes or no? If yes, keep on judging yourself and others. Is complaining helpful for my spiritual goal? Yes or no? Is making myself a victim of life and life circumstances helpful for my goal? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, then keep on complaining, judging, being a victim, and whatever. If not, take your bow and fight, O Arjun. Take your bow and fight. Because it is a fight, because it is a battle, because the natural tendency will be to go towards the negative. That's why Guruji says, if the goal of life would be to become negative, in no time you would all be masters. Yeah, that's a general tendency. That's why it is so important to do our spiritual practice, to firstly have the right knowledge. Yeah, like Guruji teaches us the right knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us the right knowledge. Secondly, do practices like japam, chanting God's name, so the mind keeps on focused, like Rupa Dhyan, have always the form of God on our mind. Chanting His name, Atma Kriya Yoga, Om chanting, Kirtan, the spiritual arts, rituals, pujas, all of those things, they will help you to purify your senses, your mind, to put it on the right place. The Sangha will help you Which association will help my spiritual goal? People who are complaining about life, who only bother about lively things. Oh my God, have you heard the new rules about Corona? Oh my God, Ukraine war, Russia, this one, oh my God, the prices of petrol. And that's all what you discuss. Is that gonna make your life better and your spiritual growth increasing? Sitting the whole night in front of the TV and getting one bad info after the other one? Or is it to go to Sangha, do some kirtan, a puja, speak about Guruji, about the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, etc. You choose what is right and what is wrong. Yeah? So, in conclusion, decisions are related to a goal or a purpose. Ultimately, we have a spiritual goal. We all have a spiritual goal. If we know it, if we believe it, or if we don't believe it, it doesn't matter. Choose by discriminating what is useful to the realization of the goal and what isn't. Yeah? You have a goal. What helps to attain my goal? What is not helpful to attain my goal? To discriminate properly, you need the right knowledge. So to know what will help your goal, you have to have the right knowledge. Therefore, you have to study. Therefore, you have to listen to satsang. Therefore, you have to analyze yourself, etc., etc. And once you have all that, we get the right knowledge, the right discernment from the Bhagavad Gita. That is, everything is contained in the Bhagavad Gita. And if you attend the Bhagavad Gita course by subscribing to the Bhakti ID, you will get that knowledge also. You don't even have to read it, somebody will tell you what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita. So, for everybody here, for everybody at home, on the webpage, bhaktimarga.org, there's the Bhakti ID. You can just subscribe for free, and there's a lot of materials where the right knowledge is given so that you can grow in your awareness and therefore be able to make more and more the right choices for your life and not the wrong ones. Jai Gurudev. Any questions?
I've been listening to you talk for 2 years. I have many people in my life who are like your friend. If we change one or two words in the presentation, it would fit with them in the same, like if we took out Bhagavad Gita and we said business takes, business reasons, and we change one or two other words, the flow would but then so I'm trying to unpack it in my mind and go one step back and think, okay, so then what's the difference between here and there? And in my experience, you quickly shifted into this frequency. So this could have been a false experience. So then I'm trying to go one step further back. Is it just coincidence that we thought this and that they thought like that?
Yeah. It's so maybe you want to phrase your question again, otherwise I have to do it, which is probably it's easier. You do it just for everybody. Okay, so basically she was saying people like my friend, which I gave an example, which is a businessman, which thought this is what I want, this is what I want. In the end, he came to the conclusion happiness is what I want. She has many friends like that. And this whole presentation, if we would change a few words, like Bhagavad Gita to the business manual of, I don't know, some famous TED talker, or, huh? Yeah, the New York Times or whatever, yeah, then people would like, oh wow, that's so amazing. That's so true. Because it's no rocket science. Yeah, it's really no rocket science. Like, this is all experiential, no? You can see it for yourself. It's all experiential. So she is saying, what is the difference between them and me, that I'm sitting here hearing this knowledge and can absorb it and profit from it, and they actually not? Is it because of the grace I had by meeting Guruji and having an experience? Where she says, even they, some of them, some of her friends, had a meeting with Guruji and an experience. Still, they are not caught. Still, they are not open for it. So you went one step further back, and the question was it just...
First I said, is it an experience with Guruji? You know, is it an online, is it a darshan?
Is it a I think the mic is not on. I don't know. So is it an experience with Guruji or whatever? That was her first point. But then she said people had those experiences. So the first point she came up with, so maybe it's just grace, right? Maybe it's just grace. And yes, again, you see that is, if you look at what is Guruji saying is the first greatest grace and gift what we got. Life itself. To have a human incarnation is such a precious gift. Yeah, the Vedas speak about 8.4 million different species what the soul travels through till it attains a human body. I know it's just a number, but just think about it. Just wherever you are, whenever you sit somewhere in the grass, when you're in the forest, when you just look into the details, you see animals and insects and things which you're like, what is this? And then remember 8.4 million different species where the soul goes through till it attains a human body. The human body which has the full potential to actually contemplate, discriminate, and realize his true identity and its eternal relationship with God. But once you attain the human birth, what is the second greatest gift? What Guruji says we have? We have three, which Guruji has mentioned. What is the second one? Huh? The second greatest gift is actually that your longing has awakened. Because through lifetimes, like when you attain a human body, thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lifetimes in a human body, you will continue till this suddenly starts to get, through your practice, through the grace, through the presence of masters, through encounters, life after life, through experiences, through disappointments, through lots of sufferings. Yeah, great teacher, great teacher. Like you get to a point where suddenly this awareness becomes more and more clear. Haven't you asked yourself the same question? Sometimes you speak with somebody, you open your heart and you share what you feel and your experiences and whatever, and you can feel the other person is just like absorbing it and it's just increasing together. Or you just show a picture of Guruji and they're like starting to cry. And then there's others, you open your heart and throw it all out and they are looking at you like, as if you are just nuts case or like nothing has reached. So this is an evolution of the soul actually. That's why the second grace is when you finally get to this point that this has awakened. But this has not awakened by itself. It has awakened by grace. Obviously, grace is the main factor, but also by your own effort, by your practice, by your decisions, by your choices which you made. Some thoughts which you have in your life, some perceptions what you have, where you think they're coming from. Life after life. That's why the Gita says, Manushyanam sahasreshu, amongst thousands of people, there's maybe one One who seeks perfection. It is not, spirituality is not such a common thing, especially not in Kali Yuga. Yeah, this is a general age where materialism and low consciousness is present on a general level. Doesn't mean that we are therefore caught up in that and that we are stuck in that. Everybody can break out of it, like Guruji says. You can dwell in Satya Yuga while being in Kali Yuga. So, your question, is it grace? Yes, it is grace. Yes, it is your practice. Yes, it is just lots of experiences, and therefore, what does Krishna say? Chapter 2, verse 47, you have the right to act, but only to act, never to its fruits. Yes, love wants to be shared because love is the only thing which increases when you share it. And it is painful to see that people just don't get it and keep on turning in the mud, and like, it's not judgmental, it's just when you see people suffering and having difficulties and you see like, there would be the light. Look, there would be a solution. There's a solution. That's why everybody is in Bhagavad Gita chapter 1. Everybody is Arjuna in the battlefield. Everybody comes to the place where he finds weakness and doesn't want to fight anymore. Everybody finds excuses why they don't want to fight anymore. Everybody has the intellect set wrong, because in the beginning Arjuna had the intellect wrong. The buddhi was not right. He said, this is not the good word, this is not righteous. Isn't it? And if you just listen to what Arjuna says, you would say like, he has a point. He has quite a point. And then Krishna has to step in, the master has to step in and says like, you talk as if you know, but you have no clue. You don't know. And then it's like, okay, what is an important point? Shishyam te shadimam tvam prapanam. I'm your devotee, I'm your disciple, please instruct me, I surrender to you. Chapter 2, verse 7, yeah? That is an important point. You invite, you finally give up this arrogance of like, I know it all, I know it all. And you are open for something else. And then the growth can happen. So we carry on doing our things. You keep on, as devotees, we keep on trying to bring the message of love to the world. Yeah, the mission of Bhakti Marga, to spread his love, to bring as many people to the grace of Paramahamsa Vishwananda. Because when amongst 1,000 people, one perfection seeks, that means that if we reach 1,000,000 people, then we have 1,000 people who seek perfection. And if we reach 1,000,000,000 people, we have 1,000,000 people who seek perfection. Yeah? And the more we are, the more we grow in this love personally, firstly, make the right choice for ourselves and grow here, because that's the only thing which you can really change. You change that, automatically everything around you will change. And we should never forget that anything what we do in that spirit will leave an imprint. You leave a seed there. It might sprout in this life, in the next life, in 10 lives, tomorrow. It is not up to us. He is Kal, he is time. He will decide when the right time is there. We can just take this experience again and see how lucky you are, how precious it is, and also how important it is to remind yourself of these truths. Because Maya is very powerful, and if we don't keep on practicing and keeping our mind in the right place, the world will absorb us like nothing, and you all know that. Because most of the people who come here to the ashram say like, oh, when you're here it's so nice, but when you're out there, world just, yeah, but it is not here, it is not there, it is here. It is always with you, always has been with you and will always be with you. It's the only thing which is truth, which is reality. Always been and will always be. We just need to keep the mind there. Focus, make the right choices. And for that we need the right knowledge. So. What is the third grace? She is asking. The third grace. Yes, so the third grace is the master. Paramahamsa Vishwananda. Yeah, the third grace is when you meet your spiritual master. So the first grace, you get the human body, you have the opportunity. The second one, when finally some longing awakens, the door opens up by whatever means, and then if you find your spiritual master, your Satguru, that is the ultimate culmination of your spiritual path, because he will guide you to the final destination. If you want so, and if you allow him, in this life, he will do so. If you make the right choices. Otherwise, eventually he will. Eventually, everybody will get there. Yeah? Any more questions? So, thank you all for your attention. I wish you a nice, still celebration of Krishna Janmashtami, and nice weekend here in Sripati Laya, and a nice path. Make the right choices. Jai Gurudev. Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Krishna Kanya Lal Ki Satguru Dev Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu Ki